The 25th Amendment comes into play and a mayor is assassinated on this date. Welcome back to On This Day. Today's date is November 27th, 2023. It is the 331st day of the year. There are 34 days left in 2023. It is the 48th Monday in the 48th week and the 66th day of fall. You got 24 days left until winter. Today is National Turtle Adoption Day. This was founded in 2011. Turtle Adoption Day has a bit of a grassroots that started with one woman, Christine Shaw. She made a blog post about the adoption of turtles. Since then, the day has grown into include more people and more communities all over the globe. The thing about adopting a turtle is once you've adopted one, you kind of have a turtle for life unless you give it to somebody else. Turtles outlive human beings most of the time. I was actually just talking to a guy at a pizza place the other day. He used to take care of lawns while he was going to college, and he used to talk to this old man, said if you see a turtle out there, just leave him alone. He's been here forever. And he goes, he'll eat flowers, whatever you want to give him. And later on, he talked to him and he said, yeah, when I bought the house, they told me there was a turtle that lives in the backyard someplace. You can get rid of him if I want. And he goes, I just let him live here. And I guess the guy had owned the property for like 20 years or something like that. And he didn't even know how long the turtle was there before he got there. Buy some land, get a turtle. All right, let's see what else November 27th has given us. 1901, the United States Army War College is established. My brother went there. 1945, CARE is founded to send care packages for food relief to Europe after World War II. 1971, the Soviet space program's Mars 2 orbiter releases a descent module. It malfunctions and crashes, but it is the first man-made object to reach the surface of Mars. 1971, way back then, wow. 1978, in San Francisco, City Mayor George Moscone and openly gay city supervisor Harvey Milk are assassinated by former supervisor Dan White. On November 27th, 1978, San Francisco was rocked by a tragic and shocking event that profoundly affected the city's history and politics. Mayor George Moscone, a leading figure in San Francisco's political landscape, was assassinated in his office at City Hall. The shooter, Dan White, was a former city supervisor who had recently resigned from his position and was seeking to be reappointed. White entered City Hall through a basement window to avoid metal detectors and proceeded to Mayor Moscone's office. There, he was buzzed in because it wasn't unusual to see him around. He was there to go see the mayor. Since he didn't go through the metal detectors, nobody suspected that he had a gun. In the office, he found Mayor Moscone and fatally shot the mayor, marking a dark day in the city's history. The assassination of Mayor Moscone was not an isolated incident, but part of a double murder that also claimed the life of Harvey Milk, the first openly gay elected official in California. There's a great movie about this called Milk with Sean Penn. If you've never seen it, it's a great movie. The killing was driven by White's disgruntlement and political disagreements with both Moscone and Milk. The aftermath of the shooting led to widespread shock and grief in San Francisco, particularly within the LGBTQ community. They had seen Harvey Milk as a champion to their cause and their community. The event underscored the volatile nature of political and social tensions in the city during this era. White's subsequent trial and the controversial verdict ignited public outcry and led to the infamous White Night riots, reflecting the city's deep division and the impact of the tragic loss of their leaders. Now, Dan White got a slap on the wrist for murdering two people. This was a political assassination by most people's standards. Even though it was a personal thing, it was two elected officials. Now, where it really got weird was his defense. It became known as the Twinkie defense. At trial, White's defense team argued that his mental state at the time of the murders was one of diminished capacity due to depression. They argued that he was therefore not capable of premeditating the murders and thus was not legally guilty of murder in the first degree. Forensic psychiatrist Martin Blinder testified that White exhibited several behavioral symptoms of depression, including the fact that White had gone from being a highly health-conscious individual to consuming sugary foods and drinks. The local newspapers quickly dubbed this the Twinkie defense. Now, keep in mind, he murdered two people. White served 5 years of a 7-year sentence at Soledad State Prison and was paroled on January 7th, 1984. Fearing he might be murdered if he moved back to San Francisco, they paroled him to Los Angeles. Now, White wanted to eventually move back to San Francisco, but Dianne Feinstein, who was now the mayor, said that it wasn't a good idea to parole him to San Francisco because they were, worried about public safety, his and the public. White eventually did move back to San Francisco, but not for too long. On October 21st, 1985, less than 2 years after his release, White took his own life by carbon monoxide poisoning in his garage. Yeah, if you get a chance, definitely see Milk. It's a very well-made movie. Premiered on November 27th, 1980, Bosom Buddies. This was a sitcom that aired for 2 seasons only on ABC. The show is about 2 single men who disguise themselves as women to live in a cheap female-only apartment building. The show became known for its improvisation. It starred Tom Hanks. Born on November 27th, 1940, Bruce Lee, martial arts icon, actor, and filmmaker who is best known for films including the 1970s features Enter the Dragon, The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, and Way of the Dragon. For martial art movies of the day, these were amazing. And I don't think a lot of people realize kung fu theater and kung fu movies back that we used to watch in the 1970s and 80s. Everyone's all, it's all fake martial arts stuff. Well, I think a lot of Americans looked at it differently or wrong. It's not meant to be realistic. These movies are created like we look at the World Wrestling Federation, that fake wrestling with Hulk Hogan and all those guys. That's what that is to the Asian cultures. But Bruce Lee did these movies and they weren't fake like that. They were pretty much realistic. Things that could be done. You didn't have a kung fu master that leaped 70 feet in the air, killed 4 people as he came to the ground. Nothing like that. He began his martial arts training under Wing Chun teacher Yip Man in 1954. He popularized Kung Fu in the Western world through film and created his own philosophy and practice called Jeet Kune Do. When I was young, I was very hyperactive. I've taken martial arts my whole life to calm me down or whatever my mom had in mind. So I knew all about Bruce Lee and Jeet Kune Do and all that stuff. Sadly, in May of 1973, Lee collapsed during a dialogue replacement session for Enter the Dragon at Golden Harvest Film Studio in Hong Kong because he was having seizures and headaches. He was immediately rushed to the hospital where doctors said he had some brain swelling. They were able to reduce the swelling, and he was out of the hospital a few days later. On Friday, July 20th, 1973, Lee was sort of having a business dinner with some actors and directors about a future movie project. Well, Lee started having some headaches. A friend had some painkillers, so he took those and said he was going to go take a nap. Well, he never showed up for a planned dinner. They went to check on him and found him unresponsive. They tried for about 10-15 minutes to revive him and then rushed him to the hospital where he was pronounced dead on arrival. The autopsy said that his brain had been swelling, but he was also allergic to something that was in one of the painkillers. Back in the day, they didn't use the word drug overdose, so his autopsy read that he died by misadventure. Died on November 27th, 2021. Eddie Mecca played the role of Carmine Ragusa, the Big Ragu, on ABC's sitcom Laverne and Shirley. He was also in Happy Days and a few other things. He played the club manager in the movie Dreamgirls, and he amassed over 50 acting credits throughout his long career. He was an instructor at the Worcester County Light Opera in Massachusetts and performed on Broadway in The Lieutenant. He was on Laverne and Shirley for 7 years and appeared in over 100 episodes. They gave no cause of death, but he'd been hospitalized with blood clots right before his death. He died at 69 in California. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, and be nice to each other.